In the previous part, we edited our product animation together using transitions, color grading, and some other techniques. However, in this video, we are going to learn the secret sauce to spice up our production quality and make the product animation a whole lot better by adding text effects, tracking, and a more advanced transition. If you want to follow along using the course assets, check out my Gumroad, link is in the description. But for now, let's get started. So the first thing I did is adding in this song. This came from a YouTube channel that actually makes no copyright music, and I tested this out by trying to upload it on YouTube and checking whether it's copyright free. And it is. The channel is called No Copyright Electro Swing. It has 1.47k subscribers, and this song in particular is called Electro Swing Mr. Lex Immersing. Alright, so now you should be able to hear the music through the microphone. Alright, so what I want is that right over here in this transition, we want this beat to start. So I'm going to make this smaller, bring it right over here, zoom in, holding Alt and scrolling, and then we can bring this towards this side. That's what we want it to look like. So now I'm going to drag this out to the beginning, and we have something that looks like this. But I do think the music is a bit too slow, so I'm actually going to speed it up by 115%. So I'm going to click on this clip, right mouse click, change the clip speed, and right over here I will type 115 and it will make it faster. But it has also shifted the place where our beat drop is happening. So I'm going to shift it over to the side. All right, and now it has a bit more pump to it. So before we cut into the beat some more and actually finish this song, we are going to do the transition in the Droplet. So right over here, the first thing I'm going to do is click on Unlink, which is right over here. And I will select all of this because it doesn't actually have any sound and it's just in the way. So I'm going to delete that. Then I will select both of these clips, hold Alt and move them to the side. I will bring it upwards and upwards until it aligns, and we can see the gray line happening right here with the previous clip, like this. So basically what we want to do now is make sure that this clip is already starting right over here. Maybe one frame faster, like right over here. That's nice. And now I'm going to bring this upwards, duplicate this one again, just leave it there. Then I will select those two and make a fusion clip out of it by using my right mouse button and adding it as a new fusion clip. And now it's a fusion clip. So let's go over to Fusion, which is the button right over here, and it will automatically bring us to this tab. Here we have some nodes. We're quite familiar with that in Blender. And this one is the top one. If I press on one, you can see, and this is the bottom one. Now, since this is the top one, we cannot see the bottom one, and that is a problem. But we are going to fix that simply by adding an ellipse tool, which is right over here. Click on it, and it will automatically add it to the selected clip. So I've got it selected right now, and we have to move backwards all the way over here. And I kind of made a mistake because this one is the top one and this one is the bottom one. So we have to switch the green and the yellow line. So I'm going to plug this one right over there and this one into the green line. So I'm going to this frame right over here. And I will take this ellipse tool and I will add a center, width and height keyframe right over there. And I will bring it at the location so that it just fills up the red drop like this. Then we'll go a few frames forward all the way over here until it covers the screen. And I will make sure that this covers the screen as well. Then we'll go a few frames backward, make this really small. Have a look at where our drop is coming from, it's right over there. Make it even smaller, like this. Bring it backwards and make it really small until it fits right in there. And from here on out, I'm just going to scale it practically to 0. I'm going to take this both to 0. So now we should have a transition, but this doesn't look very appealing yet. And the reason for it is that we actually lost our droplet. The first thing I'm going to do is get rid of these harsh edges. I think it's too hard. So I'm going into the ellipse and I will increase the soft edge by moving this slider just a little bit towards that side. Now going into the merge node, I will go back all the way to this frame, set the blend to 0, add a keyframe, and go over here until we have got the screen entirely covered. We should know the keyframe for this if we enter the ellipse. So it's this one. Go into the merge and blend all the way to 1. So let's see what it looks like. Ah, there you go. Yeah. And now we still get the idea of the droplet, but it's slowly fading in. Maybe we can do the fade in a bit later. So I'm going to set the blend to 0 on this frame. There you go. Now, it's cutting off right over here, and I have no explanation for why it does that, because we added this entire clip, and I'm not sure why it's cutting it off. But that is the exact reason why we added this one earlier. I'm going to move my arrowhead to the right until it becomes black, which is right over there. So I will move this to the top and bring this backwards to the playhead. And now, if we play this, everything should look fine. So let's bring this all the way over there. Make sure it aligns with this one. So now we can finish the music off, and it should end like right over here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going all the way to the end of the music, and I will listen to what it sounds like. It sounds like an ending. So I'm going to make a cut right over there. And then I will bring this part somewhere over here. And it's right over here. It's the exact same place. Almost there, maybe 1 frame delayed. 2 frames to this side. That's cool. So now we've got that done. We've added the music and we made the transition into the droplet. So now I'm going to show you how to make an AI voice to spice up this entire product animation. Maybe you're going to use it, maybe you're not going to use it. I don't know. But right over here, we can go over to an AI tool called ElevenLabs.io. Do beware, you cannot use this in commercial projects unless you have a license, but you can play around with it for free, which is what we're going to do right now. Thinking about our text. Who is our ideal customer? So in this case, we are selling a blender, and I'm going to be very specific about who this blender is for. So we are talking about Suzanne, not the monkey, but a woman who was born in the year 1984. Now Suzanne has a husband and she has kids, but she is quite unsatisfied with the extra kilos she put on after giving birth. And she's also quite unsatisfied by the fact that her husband is quite lazy and is gaining some weight as well. So she wants to live a healthier life, and maybe a blender can help with that. We are trying to sell a lifestyle, not a blender. Sell the sizzle, not the steak. So we are not going to try and sell the blender in a way that says like, yeah, it has 3000 rotations in a minute and it is very clean looking with the chrome texture. Sell the result. The only thing that matters is what can you get out of the blender? What's in it for me? So a good way to go about this is to ask yourself some questions. And it's a very simple question. It's actually, so what? So let's say a salesman comes up to you and he tries to sell you this blender. Sir, would you please buy this blender off of me? And you're like, why? And he goes, well, this is the best blender in the market. It's such a good blender. It has 3000 rotations. And you're like, so what? Well, it will actually make you more healthy. So what? Well, being healthy and losing some weight will actually make you more attractive. So what? So that you can get a beautiful looking girlfriend, you'll get married and have 3 beautiful kids. Okay, now we're talking, maybe I'm interested in the blender. And then he's like, well, there's only 24 hours and luckily you've got this ad, so in the next 24 hours we have a discount for 30%, bam, welcome to marketing. So this is the way that we do it. We actually ask the questions about the product, so what? So what? So what? What is the ultimate end goal a person is trying to achieve? A person doesn't care about 3000 rotationary moments of a blender in any type of situation. Really don't care. What is it going to bring for them? Will their family and friends and kids respect them? Will they get more status by acquiring this blender? Will they get a beautiful looking girlfriend? Hell yeah. That's what this blender is doing. Now in our case, we are dealing with Suzanne, who's a woman who was born in the 1980s, has an overweight husband and is busy with the kids, so she doesn't have a lot of time. So what are we going to use as our focal point for marketing? We're going to convince her that it's going to be easy, that it doesn't cost a lot of time. We're going to convince her that she might become more attractive, and we're going to convince her that she's a good person for trying to inspire her family to live healthy. So that is our marketing angle right here. And I just wanted to give you that piece of information because it's quite important. I personally work together with a business for over 8 months who is now doing 5 figures using my advertisements. There are several different types of clients. So some of them know the data and they know which client they are trying to focus on. However, you also have clients that don't know their specific customer avatar simply because they don't have enough data or they are targeting a general audience anyway. So that's just something to take into account. Don't just do this willy-nilly. I'm just using this as an example. So Suzanne is our target audience. So what I've written right here is this is not a blender. This is not just a blender. It's a lifestyle. Make your family healthy using your favorite fruits in smoothies. I don't like using the word favorite 2 times. It comes in all colors because it's stylish in any kitchen. Fruits are good for your skin, sleep, and facial beauty. Taking the attractiveness approach here. Get your blender by Philips's. Just called it like that because I don't want to use the actual Philips name, at your local kitchen supply store, or click on the link for a discount. Now, this is also client dependent, whether they have a discount or not. So this is our text, and at one point it says, get your blender by Philips Hue at your local kitchen supply store, or click on the link for a discount. We actually want to be more specific than just saying a discount, because a discount doesn't really say that much about what the discount is. So we're going to say for a 30% discount. And while we're on the topic of discounts, since you followed this entire course all the way until the end, you get a 30% discount on Lighting Ultimate Pro, which consists of Geolights Pro and the Ultimate Gobopack. Trust me, you will become more attractive and you will have a legion of girls waiting in line to touch your hand. Just kidding. But use this discount code. It's special only in this video for people who watched all the way until the end of this course. So click the link in the description to my Gumroad to get Lighting Ultimate Pro. On to the video. So I'm going to copy all of this. Control C, and then I will go over to a website called ElevenLabs. Now you might have to make an account. Now for the first couple of tries you don't have to use an account. Later on you would have to make an account, sign in, and you get a couple of free credits. And otherwise, if you want to use it commercially, you probably need a paid account. So right over here, I'm going to paste it right in there, and I'm going to select the voice. And one thing that I wanted to let you guys know, Freya, she has got one of those voices. Let's download it and let's listen to what Freya has to say.
This is not just a blender. It's a lifestyle.
I think this voice is hilarious.
This is not just a blender. It's a lifestyle.
I can just see her saying
Make your family healthy using your favorite fruits in smoothies.
All right, so that's Freya. What you usually get with this AI is that some sentences sound pretty cool and others sound pretty bad. So we have to do this a couple of times and just click on the reload version right over here. Say it differently. And maybe we can add some exclamation marks in order to have her change the intonation.
This is not just a blender. It's a lifestyle.
Pretty cool. Let's try another voice as well. So let's have a look at some other girl voice. Nicole. Okay, Nicole, let's see what you've got.
This is not just a blender. It's a lifestyle.
I like Nicole. Nicole's pretty cool as well. Let's have a look at this.
This is not just a blender. It's a lifestyle.
Now let's cut this up, bring it all closer together. All right, so that is a possibility. You can use AI voices in order to spice up your product animation, and it's also just fun to play around with, so give it a try. Anyway, I'm going to move this to the side. It's called ElevenLabs, and let's play this off one more time.
This is not just a blender. It's a lifestyle.
All right. Cool, cool, cool. We've had some fun with this. Now I'm just going to turn it off. And we can actually add some more sound effects in order to make this even better. So right over here, we've got a zoom in motion, which makes for a nice whoosh. You can get some free sounds on YouTube. So right over here, I've got my whoosh sounds. Just going to add it right in there. And let's just use this one. Let's take this one. Right over there. And right here we can add like a typewriter sound effect. So you get the tick, 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 or clicking. Maybe there's some clicking. Okay, and we have to time this. Now we can add like a camera sound effect, like a shutter. I think it's called shutter. Rapid camera shutter sound effect. This should probably do the trick. Yeah. Now we need like a cutting sound effect, like a knife sound effect. Fruit Ninja slicing sound effect, probably should do. Going to take this one, bring it right over here. Cool. Now we can have some water sound effects maybe. Let's see what this looks like without the AI voice. We are missing this sound effect, I feel. We are missing that sound effect. You can find that. I think it is called pop sound effect. Yeah. Now all we have to do is add some text and then we're finally done with this animation. You can add some more sound effects if you'd like. I just wanted to show you some possibilities. We used the pop, we used some whooshes, we used some slicing sound effects from Fruit Ninja. And now all we have to do is add some text effects. So let's get started straight away. So I've got this right over here. I'm going to type in text and you won't see anything if you're on video transitions. So click on Toolbox and then you will see the text plus icon right over here. You can drag it on here and now we can type some text. As you can see, this is our font right now, which is the Sans or Open Sans. And I like to use a couple of different fonts. I like Impact, which looks like this. Looks pretty cool. I usually use this on my channel. I also like to use Trade Gothic, which looks like this. It's a bit more, I don't know, professional looking, I guess. And we can type something here. This is not a blender. It has some shock value because it is a blender. this is not a blender. I'm going to bring that upwards using the settings position slider. Then we go into title, we can go to shading, and we can change some things right over here. So if you want this to be, let's say, see-through, you can select this, and now you have a text that looks like this. And that looks pretty cool to me. But what we can do is go over to the Fusion tab, and right here you will have a template. And after this template, we can add, for example, a soft glow. And this will make sure that the text glows a bit. We'll play around with the threshold and the gain, and make sure that it's popping out just a little bit more. Play around with the blend as well. Something like this should probably look a bit cooler. And we can animate this as well. And I prefer to animate in the Fusion tab. I think it just looks a little bit better. So let's go over to Fusion. Let's add a transform node right over here. It's called transform. And now what we can do is click on the center and size on the first frame. And go over to the last frame. And maybe what we want to do is increase this size by a bit. Like so. And then right over here, we have the spline editor. You can select it right over here. Click on this little button to show what type of graph we have. And this is basically like the graph editor in Blender. And right now you can select this, ease, and I will select out cubic. I think that looks good.
This is not.
Okay, it should probably be reversed. So we can click on all of these, right mouse click, and here you have a button called reverse. And I think it's a bit too big maybe. Let's go over to the Fusion tab. Let's go to the very first frame, decrease the size. This is not just a blender. We should probably change this once again to out cubic.
This is not just a blender. It's a lifestyle.
You can also make it fade out using the opacity slider. It's a lifestyle. Let's go ahead and type it's a lifestyle. And make it trade Gothic once again. For this one, maybe we can just add a black shadow like this. And then go down and change the softness. Make it more soft, so it's less harsh, but still very readable. It's a lifestyle. We can also go to option number 2 right over here, which is the red outline. You can click on enabled and you see a red outline. But here we have to change the color. I don't know why it's not on black by default. It's quite annoying actually. I always have to change this from red to black. Whoever uses red as an outline for a text? Nobody. So let's see what this will look like. We can increase this, use the thickness slider right over here. And you can increase the thickness, but I think it looks a bit shabby. So I'm going to bring it downwards until it's barely noticeable. It just adds a little bit to the text for its readability. Maybe we can have this one come inwards.
Blender. It's a lifestyle. Make your family healthy.
That is the way to make a text effect like that. But I actually think that it's a lifestyle. Maybe it's not the best animation that we can come up with. We can maybe make a better one for this. So let's go over into Fusion. And we've got this template right here. So I can just copy it, Control V and Control V. So now we've got 2 of them. And I am actually going to place them right over this one and this one. So now we have 2 of the same types of text. So I'm first going to disconnect this one. Then we'll select this one. I will add a transform node and I will add a keyframe on frame, let's say 8. And then I will place a keyframe on the center. Then go over here to template number 2. Let's add it, transform. Let's also add a keyframe on the center. And then on frame, let's say 34, which is 16 frames, I'm going to move this one upwards, like so. And I'm going to move this one downwards, like so. And it will automatically place a keyframe. Pretty cool. So now all we need to do is change this text, because I don't like the black shadow. So let's go over to the element 3, select the color, and set it to white. I think it's a bit too much. So I'm going to select this outline instead of this one. Looks a little bit better. Now all we have to do is change this one. And maybe we can just simply make it the same. So shading, go to number 1, select this one. And maybe make the color black for this one. Then go over to the shadow, select this shadow type. Now let's go over to the transform node. And I want this to look like an out cubic. I think that looks good. So out cubic, this one as well. Going to select it, out cubic. So let's see what it looks like.
It's a lifestyle. Make your family healthy.
Pretty cool.
Your favorite. It's a lifestyle. Make your family healthy.
One thing that's annoying me is that it's coming from the top and not from the bottom. I'm going back into Fusion and this one should be on top. So I'm going to hold Shift and make sure it comes loose from the entire stack. Move the media out. Then I will bring this on top. But now we don't see anything anymore, and that's because nothing is being fed into this merge node. So I'm going to press Shift Space, and I will add a background, BG. Bring it right in here, and now it's a black background, but we want it to be a transparent background. So simply go over here and move the alpha slider all the way to the left, like so.
It's a lifestyle. Make your family.
All right, so for this one, we are going to do something special. So I just taught you how to make a text effect. We use some transform, so you can make a cool looking animation out of it. We also add a simple text right over here. And you've already learned quite a bit about text already. But here we are going to take it up a notch. So I'm going to select this one, go over into Fusion. And we actually want to track this in order to add some text to it. So first I'm going to make a text. Let's say stylish in all kitchens, not chickens. Kitchens. Let's add it on top, go over into the text node and remain consistency in the font. You don't want to use like different types of fonts and stuff like that. So I don't think this looks very good. Basically, I'm just going to break this up. So I'm going to Shift Enter right over there. I'm going to remove this space. Then it will look like this, which is also not entirely what we want, but we're getting there. So now I'm going to teach you guys a new trick. Right click in this box. Character level styling. This basically means that we can adjust, because if you look at this, you can select certain types of words, but if you change the size right now, it will simply change everything. But if you use character level styling, you will get a modifier right over here. It's just like Blender. You get a modifier, go over to this tab, and now if I select this and change the size, it will only change the size of this text. Now this is something that I like to do a lot, so I'm going to bring this upwards and make sure that it aligns with kitchens. So then we have the same size for all pieces of text. Then I'm going to do the same for this one. Now we can go back to Tools, Shading. Let's add a black shadow for this. And maybe we can even add a color. So go to Modifiers, select Stylish, and maybe make it the color yellow. Something like this. Stylish in all kitchens. So now you've learned a new trick. You can separately change the elements of a text. But this is not tracked to our Blender yet, which is actually what we came here to do. But it's 2:30 a.m. in the night and I'm not that tired, but I have a schedule to follow tomorrow, so I will have to go to bed. Just in case you're wondering why I'm wearing a different shirt all of a sudden. All right, I'm back. Good morning. So I'm going to try and track this to the Blender. And the way I'm going to do it is by clicking on this link, Shift Space, and adding a planar transform. So I'm going to add that right here. And basically you have two options. You can either use the single point tracker, but it will bring us in some trouble. So I'm going to use the planar tracker, but we have to change some settings in order to make it look right. So right now it's connected to this clip, which means we can track something on this clip. We have to make a mask for this, and I'm simply going to mask this button. So I will go to frame 0, which is right over here. Take this, make a nice little rectangle. And then we have to click on the set reference time, because in the Fusion clip we are at frame 194, but it automatically references frame 0, which doesn't exist. So set, and we want to change this not to perspective, because perspective is trying to take into account the perspective shift, which means that it's going to be a 3D camera track kind of solution, but it's not going to work out because the planar tracker really doesn't do that well. So I'm going to change this to translation, rotation, and scale. And we should be acquainted with that due to Blender. And right now I'm just going to press track to end, which is this button right over here. We get some little green dots, and this is going to be the planar transform. So let's create it, create planar transform. And this basically means that it transforms the entire, it has all these keyframes. So we can place it right here underneath our text. And let's see what happens. There you go. Pretty cool. Pretty solid as well. I think it can be a little bit smaller, the text that is. So let's go over here, make the text a bit smaller, because in the end I want it to be visible, right? So I'm going to place the transform node right after the text, which is going to be over here. I'm going to scale down the size just a little bit. And let's see what it looks like.
Comes in all colors and looks stylish in any kitchen.
Yeah, cool. All right, so next up, I think this strawberry is moving way too slow over here. It's a long shot, it's 180 frames, and I'm actually going to speed it up a little bit. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to play this, and then let's say right over here, I'm going to add a speed point. So press Ctrl R, then go to this little drop-down menu and select Add Speed Point. Now go further, like somewhere where we want it to slow down again. So somewhere around here, I believe. So I'm going to add a speed point again. Now this part in the middle should be sped up. So we can either change the percentage using the drop-down menu right here. But what I like to do is grab the top part of this and move it to the left side until we get something that we like. So let's see, maybe something like this.
Good for your skin, sleep, and facial.
It could be a little bit faster maybe. And there's one more thing we can do. It's going very fast right now, but we can also transition into this using the retime curve controls. So if you press Ctrl R, right mouse click and go to the retime curve, we get an entirely different type of curve right over here. And as you can see, it is kind of beginning straight away. So this is a constant curve, but we can also make it a Bezier. So if you select this white dot, it turns red and you can click on this button and then it will transition into it more smoothly. You can play around with these handles in order to get a more smooth animation for this. Now I'm going to turn this back off, retime curve, turn it off, Control R to remove that. And now everything on this side has shifted naturally. So I'm going to take this and make sure that we get all the sound effects, which we already did, somewhere over here, and bring it over to this side so that it all matches again. So there's this one frame right over here and it shines a little bit. It's like, I think it's called a Firefly, which is a render artifact that might happen. And I am going to try and fix this by going over into the Fusion tab right on this frame, so we know that it's over here. I'm going to paint it out. So I'm going to add a paint node, so Shift Space, Paint, and I recommend not changing the stroke duration. So if we just leave it to 1, it will only work for 1 frame. This is the only frame that's really bothering me. So I'm going to take this, hold Control and make this smaller, and go over here and select this little button, which is the clone button. You get a little X in the sphere. Hold Alt, click right over here, and now this is what's going to be copied. So if I just draw on this a little bit, I think it's a bit too harsh. So I'm going to undo that, go to the brush controls, increase the softness of this all the way to 1.6. Make the clone right over here, and let's draw into it just a little bit, like so. And it should be removed. And now for the final text effect, I only want to add some text on this strawberry animation. Good for your skin, sleep and facial beauty. So what I'm going to make of it is it is good for your health, energy and beauty. So I'm going to add a text right over here. So just take the text plus that we talked about before. I'm going to bring it right over there and I'm heading over into the Fusion tab. I'm going to change this text. I'm going to say health. And I will change this to Trade Gothic because we want to have a consistent font throughout the entire video. And now we have health. I'm going to add shading. So let's add a black shadow. Shouldn't be as strong as this. So go to the softness and increase it just a little bit. So it becomes a bit more subtle. So now it says health right over here, but we need to add some animations to this. And the way I'm going to do it is simply by adding a transform node. And I will use this transform node, go to frame 12 and add center keyframe right over here. Then go to frame 0 and bring it all the way up until it's out of the screen. So over here should be fine. Now this animation looks pretty dull, so we're going to change that. I'm actually going to select all of this in the spline editor once again, right mouse click, ease, and take Outback Cubic. And this will give us a little overshoot, which means that it's going down and then a little bit backwards. But this is way too strong. So I'm going to press T and this will give us the ease in and ease out function. And if you look at this animation right now, it's pretty janky. So we have to change the ease out. Just move this to the side so it's a bit more subtle, like this. There you go. Now we also need to enable motion blur. So go to settings, motion blur, and set the quality to 10. This will slow down the process, but it looks a whole lot better. Now I'm going to take this template. I'm going to paste it right over here. I'm going to paste another one right over there. Connect them together. Select this, health, energy, and this one should be beauty. All right, so I'm going to take this transform node, go to the keyframe where it's ended. So I'm going to take this, copy it, bring it right over here. And now this one has its own transform node and we can place it downwards just a little bit. So we have health, energy, and I think this should all be the same size. So I'm going right over here to energy, decrease the size until it kind of lines up with the other letters that we've got. And I'm also going to change the color of this one to yellow. Now we've got a transform and they are both moving at the same time, but we're going to change that later on. I'm going to add another transform node right over here. So copy it, paste it, template, connect it to the transform and connect this one to the node setup. And right over here, we can change it once again. So go to the right keyframe, which is going to be number 11 or 12 right over there and bring this down again. So now we have health, energy and beauty. Go into the template, change the size of this so it lines up. Make sure that the spacing between these are approximately the same as the spacing between these. And I think that is the case. So this is what it looks like right now, and all the animations take place at the same time. This is not what the animation should look like. I'm going to add a mask because I want this energy to come from beneath the health and I want the beauty to come from beneath the energy. And the way I'm going to do it is quite simple. I'm going to select this merge node, take this rectangle right over here, add it to the merge node. And now if I bring this down, you will be able to see that energy disappears. So So I'm going to bring this up, energy should disappear, and I will actually invert the mask. So now it is visible outside of the mask instead of inside of the mask, which means that if it's moving from above, it's going to disappear. There you go. And it comes from beneath health. And that is exactly what we want to have happen. Now I'm going to change the speed of this as well, because we have to go into this transform, which is transform 1, 1. So I'm going to turn off all the other ones, like this, select it, press on this little button right here so it zooms in and fits. Take all of this and now bring it to the side, only a couple of frames more. Something like this. So, troop. And that's a bit too slow for my liking, so I'm going to bring it backwards just a little bit. And now we need beauty. So beauty is going to be this one. And we also have to add another rectangle mask. So I'm going to bring it right over there, plug it in here, bring it down, right underneath energy. Now we also need some feathering for this. So go over here into this rectangle mask and increase the soft edge just a little bit. Let's move to a frame where we can actually see what's happening. Soft edge, something like this should work fine. The problem is health is not done doing its animation while the energy is already starting. So I'm going over here, take this, make sure it starts just a little bit later, like right over there. Yeah, like this. Rectangle, increase the softness just a little bit. Go to the transform, turn this one off, turn this one on. Click on this zoom button. And now we're going to move this to the side as well to frame 10, let's say. This is from 0, and this is starting from 6. So this one should start from 12. And then in that way we have some consistency. Pop, pop, pop. Very good. So let's see what it looks like.
Fruits are good for your skin, sleep, and fit.
Pretty cool if you ask me. So I'm going to increase this using the zoom button right here, position it a bit more to the left, right over there.
Fruits are good for your skin, sleep, and facial beauty.
Awesome. Now all we need to do is make this a bit smaller and use the opacity once again to remove it.
And facial beauty. Get your blender.
Yeah, I like this. Cool. All right, so that's it. You now know how to edit this entire product animation together. We have added so many effects. We've added different types of text effects. We added a transition into the droplet. We played around with AI voices. We added some music and sound effects. Now you should have a very beautiful product animation for yourself. Now, as I said, there will be prizes which you can win by sending me this product animation. I'm going to upload a video after this one explaining the conditions and deadlines to win the prizes. Anyway, thanks for following this free course. I hope it was very useful for you. And if it was, click on subscribe, share it with your friends, share it with your family. Thank you, I'll see you another time. That's it for the final product animation. I hope your results look even more stunning than mine. You've learned how to add text effects, how to track the text, and also how to make a more advanced transition. And if you want to become an undeniable force in the 3D space, then I highly recommend watching this video next.